Welcome to my channel, members of the Alphabet Gang. My name is NikStarchild and I make videos about my life as a thriving transgender man. On Mondays, I talk about money, and today's topic is about how I went from homeless to oh my god, how was that? I went from homeless to six figures. Big old six. So yeah, let's get into it. It's kind of a unique story of like kind of rags to riches, but not really. More like maybe like rags to IKEA towels. You know, that's really what it is. Because I mean, 100K in the Bay Area is not a lot of money, unfortunately, and it is middle class. But it's something many queers and trans people face. You know. And I'm no different. I just want to share how I ended up homeless, and then within a few short years, I was able to go from making nothing to six figures, and I did it very strategically. It was not by chance, and I did have quite a bit of help. So yeah, let's get into how did I go from homeless to six figures. So first, how did this happen? How did it happen? Before I get into that, before how I got into like recently became homeless, I had been homeless before once in my life because of family. I was kicked out of the house when I was 18, and I still had a couple of months of high school left. So I technically was homeless. I went through an organization called Diogenes, and I went through them and had some housing situations. So I wasn't on the streets, but I was technically homeless for a couple months. That was the first time, and then this is the second time within my adulthood that I was homeless. So first, the reason why this happened was because my partner and I decided to move to Portland, Oregon for a better living. We were living in the Bay Area for a long time, and I was pretty much tired of it, so we decided to move ourselves to Portland. And as soon as we arrived, it was not what I expected, for sure. My partner had lived there, in the past as a college student, but as an adult that needed to work, it wasn't the same place, right? A lot of change can happen in a few years, from when she was living there in Portland as a student to being an adult. And yeah, it was really hard. So life up there was harder than I expected. I did get a job. It took a minute, but I got a job working for a temp agency that was hired by the Fannie Mae organization or company, I don't know what you would call them, to monitor letters of correspondence to borrowers for accuracy. Does that make sense? So if you had a student loan out, you would get a letter from Fannie Mae, and it would have information in the letter. Now, there are people that Fannie Mae had to hire to do auditing on these letters to make sure that they were accurate, because if inaccurate information went out to customers, they were liable to be fined like $1,000 per letter or something like that, something crazy. So they hired this whole team of people, and I was one of them, to audit these letters, which was one of the stupidest jobs I've ever had, but hey, it was a job. And yeah, they also had some other things that they needed from this company, and they had other functions. So there were quite a few people in this building. It was a very large company, large building. There was thousands of employees, and we were all temp. Most of us were temps. I think like 80% of us were temp workers, and we were right across the street or in the same parking lot as the Nike building in Beaverton. So that's another thing. It was in Beaverton, so it was about 45-minute train ride outside of Portland. I had a hard time finding work in Portland that paid enough, so I ended up having to go out there. So and also, Portland overall wasn't what I expected. It was, it's a weird place. That's kind of its thing, is that it's weird. But, I'm from the Bay. Santa Cruz is weird, all right? Like, I'm used to weird. But what I found with Portland was that it was cliquey and low-key racist. So, and if you look up the history of Black people in Portland, let alone Oregon as a state, you'll find some very upsetting history. And I didn't know this coming up there, and I should have done a bit more research on the demographics and the economy in Portland before I went. But I was riding that Portlandia wave. I was really excited about the opportunities I could have, but there weren't any opportunities. There wasn't much work in Portland proper, and much of it was like service work. And as someone who hadn't like established my career yet, this is not the best place to go to do that, because it's hard to find well-paying work in the service industry. Hold on a second. All right, that's what happens when you record live at home with the window open. But hey, this is the only way I can do this, is to record without any edits, and you're just gonna get this, so sorry. Now let's get back to the video. So I was talking about the lack of work in Portland, and also the diversity, or the lack thereof of diversity in Portland. It was pretty much non-existent, and I noticed that people would literally like stare at people of color. Not just me, I saw it with other people. It was like, people of color are kind of like zoo animals to the white people in Portland. Like, they're so used to seeing people of color on a regular basis that when they see them, they're all like, oh wow, a person of color, you're brown, that's so great. Like, they look at you like that, and it's a little off-putting, it's a little weird. As someone who's lived in California my entire life, like, people of color is like, no one cares. The state is incredibly diverse. I was born and raised in Sacramento, one of the most diverse cities in the world for a point of time. Like, diversity is not a big deal. So when I go to a place that is not used to diversity, and it sees it as like cute and rare, and like, something to like stare at, that's weird. That's weird to me, and I don't like it, and I felt very, very uncomfortable there. Weather was quite hot in the summer, and it snowed and iced over in the winter. So that's where I was like, what is this? This weather is like terrible. No one told me that the weather was bad. Had no clue that they actually had seasons. So yeah, that didn't go over well. And then to end my time there, I was in Portland for about a year and 3 months, 4 months, something like that. My cat died. So my cat got this weird urinary tract crystal thing, and came home one day, they couldn't urinate, they were like swollen. We went to the hospital, the veterinarian, and they told us, yeah, it's going to be $2,000 to unblock the blockage, and we don't know if that's even going to cure the issue. And so I, as a poor person, I literally had like $110 in my bank account, had to make a choice of let my cat suffer and die, or put them to sleep so they could die quickly. And it costs $100 to do the euthanasia, and that's all I had. So I had to make the choice in that moment to put my cat down. So all of this, being in this state of Oregon and not enjoying it, not making any money, struggling, and then at the very end, my cat dying. Oh, no. I was done. I was done with Portland, and so I left. So I came back to California, and I went and lived with my mom in Sacramento. I slept on her couch for a couple of months, and I tried to make it work. I applied to jobs all over Sacramento County. Nothing, no responses. Not one person replied to me. It was very strange. And then I was like, you know what? This isn't working. Let me give the Bay Area a chance again. Like I was living in the Bay for so long before that. Let me just apply to a couple Bay Area jobs. I applied to a couple of Bay Area jobs, and literally the next day I got interviews. Immediately I was reached out to sign up for interviews and come to the city. So with all of that pushing me there, I had some things in my favor with my mother-in-law, who knew someone who had an office, literally owned an office in San Francisco. And so we coordinated with this person to allow me to live in one of the cubicles in the office. So I moved to San Francisco, I moved to the Mission, I moved into this cubicle. Did I move to the Mission? I moved to somewhere near the Mission, like Glen Park area. And I moved into this cubicle for about 3 to 4 months. I actually have a video about this. I'll reference it here if you want to check it out. It is interesting, to say the least. And so I did that. I started working in the cannabis industry as a manager of a dispensary, and I decided to put all of my efforts at that point into a career in the cannabis industry. So I had made a plan. I was like, all right, I have this education, I have the industry that I want to be in, so I'm just going to work my way from the bottom all the way to the top, and I'm just going to build a career in cannabis. That seems to be the best thing to do. After those 3 months or so had gone by, I reached out to my old property manager in Oakland, and asked if they had an apartment still available, and they did. There was still an apartment. There was a couple apartments in the building, and so I was able to move back into my old apartment building, but not the same apartment, the same apartment building. And I got another job in the cannabis industry on the East Bay side, and I started working as a delivery driver for a cannabis company. So again, working from the bottom. All right, so I was homeless. I started working at this dispensary as a manager. I was making, I think, like $21 an hour at the dispensary as a manager. Then I went to this other cannabis company, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna start on the bottom at this company because this company is way more stable, has a lot of potential. I'm gonna work my way up. So I went and took this delivery driver job, took a $5 pay cut, started working for like $16 an hour, and then did that for 2 years, and then applied to other jobs in the company. Finally got into some other roles, some administrative roles. Several people saw that I was doing the most, many jobs, helping many departments, and they saw my potential. And one of them was starting the new talent acquisition department at the company, and asked me if I wanted to be a recruiter. And that seems kind of wild. Like, why would she ask me if I wanted to be a recruiter? Well, I'll tell you this. I was already doing it for another manager. I was helping them hire for their role. I was interviewing. I was already doing the recruiting. And so I had mentioned that to them, and they were like, oh, so you're already doing the job. And so basically they're like, okay, well, I'm going to hire you, and then I'm going to basically refine what you're doing and give you some more skills, and you're just going to be a recruiter. So that's it. I fell into recruiting that way. And of course I didn't start off making a lot of money there. I think I made like $50K or something a year, and then very shortly leveled up to $85K and then $100K. Like it happened pretty quickly after they saw my skill set and my educational background, and I was paid accordingly to my background and education. So that was about, I want to say 4 or 5 years. I was able to be from homeless to 6 figures, okay, which is wild. But the reason why I got here was because I had a plan and I never gave up. I was really clear about what I needed to do and how I needed to leverage my skills and make connections in certain companies to right up the ladder, right? And I kept asking questions, I kept applying to jobs, I kept letting people know, hey, this is my skill set, this is my education, and I was able to work that out. So I worked in the cannabis industry for another like 2 years, and then decided to switch industries, and I recently switched to agriculture and biotechnology industry, and I was able to even more increase my income. I'm still in the 100K range, but I've increased it. I keep increasing it every time I get a new role. So it's been an interesting journey, and I do feel greatly accomplished to get to the 100K range, although it doesn't really mean much. I mean, it's an accomplishment, but in the end of the day, money doesn't really mean anything. It's all about your family and your friends and your health. That's what matters the most. And I've found that getting the 100K helped, was a catalyst in keeping me healthy and happy, but it isn't the end all be all. I would love to maintain this income. I would love to increase this income, but there has been some changes recently, and I'm likely gonna lose that income pretty soon. And so kind of here I am, right? Here I am online and on YouTube trying to make some other avenues of income work. Hopefully you found this video interesting or helpful. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them. Please leave them in the description below, or sorry, in the comments below. And I just want to thank you all, thank the Alphabet Gang for watching this video and spending a little bit of time with me today. There are a lot of ways you can support me, of course. You can do the like, comment, subscribe, You can look into the links in my description and help me out there, go above and beyond. I just want to say thank you so much for supporting me. Creating content is not easy, especially as a transgender person of color, and so you being here is everything, and I will be here next week to share another Money Monday talk. So yeah, I'll see you next week, and thanks for watching.